Hey there, welcome to this video, and this video is for the new leaders in a conscious movement towards basically a better, happier tomorrow. I'm Jeff Newton, and I've been hearing from some of you guys lately in response to recent videos basically saying that you could relate to the sense that there is a new impulse awakening inside of you and basically a new way of being that is more present, more clear, more knowing, less in the head, less stressed, and we even called it old consciousness and new consciousness, because one is about being in the world and another is about thinking our way through life and identifying more with the mental noise and the self-image identity that is not who we really are. So one of the concerns you guys had was how to deal with it when there's this pull from the past, when there's this resistance, this struggle. And there's so many ways to answer this question, but the one that's number one on my mind for most of you guys is just simply this: you're way too hard on yourselves. So it's a big, I'll use the word for now, I'll say it's a big burden. And from the point of view of that, maybe you've had a download or a really incredible spiritual moment, it felt deep, it felt real, it's deeply personal. And what are you supposed to do with it? You might have seen a future that's better. You might have seen yourself doing something amazing, whether it's teaching others, speaking to a crowd, making change, or you have a sense that you want to know, but you don't exactly know what it is. You never got a big download, and maybe that's what you think your problem is. But whatever it is, if that impulse is inside of you, no matter how much or how little information you have, the number one thing I see people do is get down on themselves for, quote unquote, not being where they should be by now, not living their purpose somehow. And that is the biggest load of bullshit I can think of. There is a perspective that's useful to say, hey, if anything's possible, where do I want to be? And if I don't have to live the way I lived in the past, how do I want to live now? That's more congruent to my purpose. And in that sense, great, go ahead. Get furious about where you are now and move where you have to go. But I see a lot of people getting the wind taken out of their sails by reinforcing an identity that isn't real. An unworthiness identity. You say, I shouldn't have this resistance when it comes up. And just like that, it's got you. You see, if you say, I should have this resistance is me, then you're caught in its trap. But equally, if you push it and you say, I don't want this here, it shouldn't be here, I was spiritual before, and now that this is happening, I'm not, that zaps your energy. So what you have to do is quite simple. It's not a change of the old consciousness. It's not buying into the beliefs about your purpose, about your unworthiness, about where you should be, and what you have to do and have to figure out. It's simply about relaxing and learning how to trust something else than the mind and its mental noise that comes up in the time that we are in our greatest resistance patterns. So what a master does is a master expects these things to happen. You see, spiritual growth isn't just a linear progression like this. We all go through ascending and descending waves. And in the ascending wave, we feel like we're learning more, we're becoming more aware, we're breaking our old patterns, we're finally free. And it's an illusion to think that'll keep going. Naturally, the next step is, as consciousness gains new ground, it begins to go into darkness around that new ground. What I mean by that is, if I am confronting a fear that I've never confronted before, let's say it was public speaking, terrified of public speaking, and I make a step towards public speaking, and I start breaking through and I think, it's all amazing, I'm over this fear, the next thing I'm going to get is a dose of some kind of unconscious fear that's been hidden from me this whole time. Why? Because if I'm going to grow into my purpose, it needs to show up. And there's a reason that I've been burying it, and it's because I'm scared of it, but I don't need to be. So what happens though, is most people, listen to this, most people create a spiritual identity out of how successful they think they're being. So let me say that a different way. In this analogy, I do well public speaking, or I break through one of my fears, and now all of a sudden I say, my mind says, my old identity, the old consciousness says, I'm good because I am breaking through. I know I'm doing well and safe and good because I did some public speaking. Now, that isn't your unconditional free being. That is not the new consciousness, because your identity isn't that you're conditionally worthy or that you're conditionally safe or that any of that is all the mind with its judgments. It says good dog when you do certain behavior and bad dog when you do other behaviors. And that is the thing that's crushing the human spirit right now, is we have so many ideas that don't even come from ourselves about what's good and what's bad. And one of the most horrendous offenders is when we learn to get spiritual and start adding that conditioning. Because now all of a sudden we try to be good, try to be nice, try to not be angry, try to please people, and on and on and on and on. The whole thing is bullshit. It's worthless. So when the resistance comes up, do not make a story about how spiritual you were, but now you're doing poorly. All you have to do is say, oh yeah, this is how it goes. That's what happens. In a moment, I think I'm a spiritual success because it's going well. And in the next moment, I think I'm a failure because it's not. And my little act and routine is my mind says, I should be over this by now, blah, blah, blah. And it's all good. It means nothing. And instead of thinking things through, get really present, notice what's going on in your world that's not in your mind. Try to find breathing that feels better. Facial expression that feels better. You'll notice that when the old is up, you feel tense, feels unsafe. You might have a serious face, a long face, an angry face. Tension, you need to figure it out and get all that stuff out of your system. And just try to find something that feels better, even if it's a belief, either a better belief or understanding of the situation you're in, or changing the topic altogether, ignoring what was stressing you out and thinking of something that can instantly turn you around. Because what you're going to find is, as you learn to unhook from identifying yourself as a success or a failure, whether it's with your purpose or how spiritual you are, as you learn to disidentify from that and just be the witnessing presence that is here in every moment, and start to follow your emotional guidance, that compass, towards what opens you, expands you, your intuition grows, your instincts grow, something other than the pathetic story of this world grows, the story that you have to be a success, and people are going to look down on you if you don't do it, and you have to fight your way to the top, and you have to figure out your purpose, and you haven't figured it out by now, and what a failure you are, and oh my God, you were so silent yesterday, and today all the thoughts are back. What does it mean about you? Nothing. There is no you in that way. That's just the mind trying to identify something, and you can't be identified because really, at the heart of things, you're formless, and you're one with all of it. Don't need to create an extra drama of separation in order to try and get your purpose. In fact, the more you relax that, the more your purpose comes to you. When the resistance comes up, just say, there it is. Like you expected it. And notice that the very next thing that your mind will want to do is make you ashamed, unworthy, a failure, something like that. And just look at it. That's not true. And now try to shift your frequency, your vibration into something that feels better, either on the subject or off the subject entirely. And if you can do that, you're going to make it a lot easier for yourself to handle the inevitable contraction that follows expansion, the inevitable downer after you've had a moment of going up and feeling enlightened and improved and more confident than ever. And the less seriously you take yourself as a success, the less seriously you'll take yourself as a failure, and then you'll be a real success that's transcended those opposites. And yeah, that's something I really want to see more of you able to do, because I do notice a lot of spiritual conditioning out there just creates a big old cookie cutter for you to try and fit into, and when you don't fit it, you say, fuck, I'm not doing it. So stop doing that. Just please find a way to do something more loving towards yourself. Be gentler, be kinder. That's the message for today. Add in the comments below if you like the video, and also what your cookie cutters are. Where is it that you say, oh, see, I'm failing, I should be more? Where is it you fall into the trap of identifying as a person in time who's succeeding or failing, and start to create more of the resistance and take yourself way too seriously, only to see a day or two later that you freaked out for nothing? Great. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.